Good morning, Yasha Allah, and good morning, world. We come in the name of our High Priest and King, Mashiach Yahushai. Some brethren say Yahshua, some say Yahushua, but we're speaking of the one that is named at the beginning of the book of Revelation. It exclaims, the book of Hamashiach, which is the name of the Hebrew Messiah, our King, who was crucified on Golgotha 2,000 years ago and rose from the dead. And the book of Revelation makes a claim on his behalf that he said that he was dead. Matter of fact, in the Revelation, it says that when Yochanan met him in the revelation of this book, the Mashiach proclaims himself as one who was dead but is alive, having the keys of death and of hell. Go to the first chapter of Revelation and you will see the reality of what I'm sharing with you. So in the name of the Mashiach, I come to you, brethren, and to you, world out there, to share a word of courage and comfort for stability in these times on the behalf of our high priest and Malak, our king. So our lesson comes from the book of Revelation, chapter 7. And we're discussing the sealing time. Because Revelation chapter 7 begins with the word. With the prophet standing and beholding 4 MalaKims. Some translations says four angels, but angels is never the right word. 4 MalaKims, 4 heavenly messengers standing on the 4 corners of the earth. Look at it in Revelation chapter 7. And they had a work to conduct a sealing operation among 12 tribes of the scriptures, the Hebrews. And so we want to go and do a short review for confirmation, for exhortation, and to impart courage to those who are weak and faint at the time. So again, Revelation chapter 7, And the first verse says, "And after this I saw 4 MalaKims standing at the 4 corners of the earth." And what were they doing there? They were holding the 4 winds of the earth at the 4 cardinal points of direction in the world. They were holding these winds to keep them from blowing on the earth, on the sea, and from blowing the trees. The fact is, today we are living in the time when it is generally believed, or the general view of life in the earth among the citizens of the world is that there's a whole lot of fear parading around. And for a long time, many people have been paying attention to the book of the Revelation, and their fears have grown with the times and events happening that portrays the idea of momentous events occurring in the earth. Remember the wars and rumors of wars spoken of by the Mashiach that many people know. They know the passage of that scripture by heart. Many don't recognize the context of the wording and who it really is speaking those words. If you give a quiz on the matter, you will find out how many people are wrong about the scripture and who is speaking and giving advice in that scripture. But being children of the heavenly King, Mashiach, who proclaims in Revelation chapter 1 that he is the one who lives and was dead, but is alive forevermore. How is it that he was dead? But if you get a hold of the Nicene Creed of Rome, you will understand why he was dead. It's no secret to Rome and the people of the Romans alive today who inhabit the set apart land that is belonging to the 12 tribes. And they are there to lay claim, to promote themselves as claimants to the land, as being the inheritors of the land. But the declaration of the Mashiach in Revelation chapter 1 that proclaims of him that he is the one who was dead but is alive and alive forevermore. Well, if you didn't know, the subject concerning his death, you might ask, well, how is it that he proclaims himself to be the one who was dead but is alive? You can ask that question. Many people would ask that question. And I can tell you that the very people, the nation that is responsible for the translation of our scriptures to record those words as the proclamation of our Mashiach, who was crucified in Jerusalem. That's where those words were proclaimed in the proper time. And so, how comes that he proclaims himself to have been dead, but is alive and alive forevermore? But in the same land, Jerusalem, is where he was crucified. And the people who are laying claim to that land are the ones who crucified him. Today they call themselves Jews. They are the ones who crucified him. And they are in the land making believe that they are his people. Come on now. The very people who crucified him because they did not want his rulership. And as a matter of fact, the land where he was crucified belongs to him. He paid the price for it. But these people who crucified him now have taken over the land and they lay claim to it and say it is their land. But the good thing is that they have in their records that they crucified him. But they do not disclose that it is indeed they who crucified him. They make it seem as it is a recording or a documentation, a record, put forward by someone else, someone other than themselves, who are squatting on the land and laying claim to it. That's the reality of it. But they have a document called the Nicene Creed. I dare you to go and find it, look it up, and you will see the words concerning the Mashiach. That he was crucified under Pontius Pilate. Pilate was Roman. Mashiach was Hebrew. Out of the 12 tribes is his birth certificate. And he became the leader of the 12 of the tribes, born into the 4th tribe to be the king and high priest of all the tribes. That's the gist of the matter. So I'm saying this for clarification because you may see it. You may see the writings of the Nicene Creed, that begins with, in the English wording, I believe in God the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, and in Jesus Christ, his only Son. So it's a blasphemous document. But although the words are a falsifying of the claim that they're making, they're actually speaking about the Mashiach of the 12 tribes of Yashar'Allah, whom they crucified and slew and hung on the tree. Today they call it a cross. So all these matters may seem confusing to you, but it is a matter of historical occurrences that has caused these matters to be so. creating confusion in the minds of many across the length and breadth of the earth. And so we are here to allay your fears of the time, of the times. Many people are very afraid of the times, and they're hearing stuff. They're hearing sip about serious times and persecution and you know, uh, relationships are not doing too well from one individual to another. Indeed, even in marriage relationship, marriage is actually the key area where where the uproar is situated and spills over to the rest of community all over the earth. And therefore, we come to allay your fears by letting you know that the winds of strife that Revelation chapter 7 shows to you are correctly describing the turmoil and confusion and unrest that are in the earth because there's a sealing proposition going on with regards to the 12 tribes and the earth. That sealing proposition is going on right now while we are having this dialogue. And of course, there are those who do not wish for that sealing to be engaged. And, the witchcraft and whatever else kind of craft they would like to engage in, that they are in fact engaging as a means of halting or stopping, blocking the sealing. Imagine that. Men making a contest with the Most High. He has ordered a sealing, a particular people to be sealed for salvation. And you have other people, other men, setting themselves up to destroy his works and his orders. He is the one who commissioned the MalaKims that was standing on four corners of the earth, according to Revelation chapter 7. And gave them the order to conduct a sealing of a particular people. And so the world is in uproar because of it, because the rulers of the earth wish to have the prerogative in being in charge of who should be sealed and when. And so there's an uproar between the rulers of the earth, the physical rulers of the earth, as we might know them, or should try to know them, come to know them, so that we can distinguish between them and the Most High. Those who wish to halt or stop, cancel the sealing, that it should not happen, according to their view. And so they are in battle against the Most High power of heaven and earth. Believe it or not, they're waging a war with the power of heaven and earth, the creator, the maker of heaven and earth, who, who fashioned the stars, the sun, the moon, and all the heavenly bodies, who made worlds and places of habitation that we here in the earth have not seen. It is recorded in the scripture that eyes have not seen, nor ears heard, nor has it entered into the heart of men what he has prepared for them that love him. And so, in that, in those few words of counsel or encouragement, we are told that there's much that we have not seen or heard of that the Most High has prepared for those who love him. Gives the view that the cosmos, some people say the universe, but we are talking about the creation and the grandeur of its schematics, how it is put together, and the volume of the creative genius of the Most High to create such a vast array of species of worlds. We talk about planets and galaxies and so forth. The Most High has done it, fashioned it all. And here you have puny men who might be king or queen of a particular land, a landmass. They are monarch in a certain area, but they are desirous of laying claim to the earth as though being the one spoken of in regards of the creator. They speak and try to give the understanding as it were that they are in charge of the earth. But the scripture tells us that the Most High created the heavens and the earth, that he spake and it was done. He commanded and it stood fast. This is in respect of the huge amount of creation that we see in terms of, for instance, the earth, the sun, and the moon, and what we call the stars out there in space. It's a whole vast creation. And a little puny man who lives for a few days. The book of Ayub says, man born of a woman is of a few days and full of trouble. he's only here for a few days. And my brethren in Jamaica say, them have enough trouble. they have more than enough trouble. Crying and moaning for the trouble. But the Most High is the King of creation. And he has commanded a sealing to be conducted amongst the citizens of earth, because there's a people in the earth that belong to him, that have his mark upon them. So he's sealing them that the Mashiach who was crucified under Pontius Pilate, according to the document that I was quoting from earlier, the Nicene Creed. That's the title of it, Nicene Creed. You can go in Rome and find it, or it might be somewhere in England, or maybe in America. Who knows? And the people responsible for creating it are the very people who crucified the Messiah. And they created the document to show their power, that they were the ones and are the ones who did the deed, who crucified the Mashiach under Pontius Pilate. At that time in Rome, and their children are alive to come face to face with the one they crucified, who is in charge of this sealing proposition that I'm speaking of, that is happening in the earth and causing so much fear and concern at this time. The world is in an uproar for all their bravery and their proposal to be owners of the earth. They are in fear, much trouble, that the king who made the heavens and the earth actually proposes to return and take up his rulership of his creation that these people are trying to lay claim to. So all in all, it's a serious time. But we who are servants of the King, who created all these matters, we are waiting for him to receive us and take us out of our condition of diaspora, having been scattered out of our homeland that they call in bastard English the Holy Land. It's our homeland. And we're waiting for our King to come and return us back to our home. So Yasha Allah, be encouraged, and let us have patience and wait for the Mashiach to wrap up this system, wrap up the books. I mean, once the transaction for the takeover of the property is done, once it has been completed, and the relevant documents hand over to the owners, then we, being among the chosen to inherit the kingdom, we may then take our leave of our scattering all over the earth, and with our Mashiach be returned to our homeland. So I encourage you, brethren, take courage and be patient. Establish your heart, the apostles say, because the coming of the Master draws near. Be encouraged and steady as she goes. Let's hold the course towards home. That's where we are scheduled to be going. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. says, we might have some difficult times ahead, but such is the case. I mean, when you're taking a voyage across perilous waters, troublesome seas, you expect to meet rough passage, some kind of how. And so, though the waters might be raging, and though there might be shoals and treacherous rocks that can cause your ship to crash, we have a captain who is seaworthy and knows how to navigate perilous times. Shekabata, we are in his care. Shimalarapa, Pratataba, Melakabadatashe, Ikidibaila. And to his hands we commend our spirit and entrust ourselves to his work to lead us and guide us safely home. Be encouraged, Yasha Allah, all over the diaspora. So in time to go home. In the name of the Most High and Mashiach, our High Priest and Malak, our King. So let it be.